When I was growing up, they actually taught music in public school. I knew the meanings of melody and counterpart by 8th grade. But in today's world, learning music is a luxury reserved for very few. With the exceptions of Juilliard, Berkeley, and a number of other music programs found in universities, the opportunities to learn about the craft of music creation are rare. Hence, the Composer's Corner, a place where we interview music creators, dissect songs, explore new gadgets and techniques, and give you a window into the world of music creation. Welcome to the Composer's Corner. I guess it was yourself you were involved with. I would have sworn it was me, and I might have found out sooner if you'd only let me close enough to see. That ain't no way to treat a lady, no way to treat your baby, your woman, your friend. That ain't no way to treat a lady, no way. But maybe it's the way for us to end. And that is what's known as taking severe artistic license with a song. But there's a reason for that. Hi, I'm Jeanie Cunningham, and welcome to the Composer's Corner. The reason why I took such severe artistic license with someone else's song is to prove a point. What's the difference between a good song and a great song? Well, a good song is pretty transient, and the production on it is usually related more towards the times that it was produced. A great song is something that lasts forever. It's a universal theme. It's a great melody that sticks in people's minds. But the bone structure of it is so perfect that you can literally do anything to it and it still comes back to being a great song. Even someone like me could take a great song and it still is a great song no matter what I do to it. However, behind every great song is a great songwriter. And we're just lucky enough today to have the songwriter of that particular song with us today in the stage. However, as is my usual way of doing things, before we meet her live, we have to take a trip down Melody Lane.
Many of you have heard the story of how I wrote this next song, which those of you who are under 27 have only heard on elevators. But actually,
for all her self-effacing humor, Harriet Schock is one remarkable lady. Grammy-nominated songwriter, Cashbox Best New Female Artist, recipient of the Dramalog Award for Best Live Performer and Composer. Harriet comes from a lineage of which music is a vital component. Her grandfather, Eugene Schock, founded the University of Texas Band. Her Aunt Louise sang opera. Her father, Dr. Arthur Schock, was a dermatologist who put himself through school working as a musician, playing the cello and marimba. He taught Harriet, when she was just 4, how to play the piano by ear. She was close to both her mother, Elizabeth, and her older sister, Sandra. Her other mother, an ongoing influence in her life, was Ernestine Jefferson, who was a vital part of the Schock family up until the day she died. While in college pursuing a BA in English, Harriet fell in love with and married an actor named Warren Hammock. The two of them moved to California, where, when the marriage broke up, music led to a new chapter in Harriet's life. Hooking up with Roger Gordon, who signed her to her first publishing deal with Screen Gems EMI, Harriet soon became a recording artist when Russ Regan of 20th Century Records signed her to his label. With Roger Gordon as producer, Harriet's first album, Hollywood Town, was released, featuring performances by great musicians such as Larry Carlton and Lee Sklar. While her songs were being played on the radio, Harriet was performing everywhere, from Doug Weston's Troubadour in Hollywood to the Schaefer Music Festival in New York. and she began building an international fan base in the process. One song from that first album caught the attention of another singer by the name of Helen Reddy, whose version of it struck gold. Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady was soon being sung worldwide in almost every language, while other songs of Harriet's were being snapped up right and left by a wide variety of artists, ranging from Manfred Mann to the Partridge Family. Harriet signed a new publishing deal with Cumberland Music, while Roger Gordon shared duties with Glenn Spreen in producing Harriet's second album, She's Low Clouds. While it received critical acclaim, it didn't reach the level of success that could leave everyone feeling secure in their jobs. So, a new approach was taken to the production of Harriet's music with a new manager, Bullet Sturgum, and new producers Gene and Billy Page. Their lush string arrangements added a new dimension to Harriet's music, while enlisting the talents of such A players as Lee Sklar and a young Ray Parker Jr. Appropriately titled, You Don't Know What You're In For, it was the last record she'd make for a number of years to come. Teaming up with fellow songwriter Misha Siegel, Harriet signed with Motown's Jobette Music. One song that they co-wrote for Berry Gordy's Last Dragon soon became an international favorite. First Time on a Ferris Wheel has been covered by no less than 30 artists and is still considered a wedding standard today. Other songs have appeared in films such as The Little Mermaid, Delta Force, and Pippi Longstocking. Her songs have surfaced everywhere, from film to TV to other artist releases, drawing attention to Harriet as a master songwriter. Following a lengthy absence from releasing records of her own, Harriet hooked up with a man who would prove to be yet another turning point in her life, Nick Benet. Nick brought Harriet back to her roots as a singer-songwriter by producing their first CD together, American Romance. Nick would often fax Harriet in the middle of the night with song ideas and produced his second album, Rosebud, which met with critical acclaim. His tutelage and philosophies found their way into articles that Harriet had written about songwriting that were later published in a book called Becoming Remarkable. Though Nick died in 1998, Harriet continued on to write, teach, and hone her many skills as a performer. In venues ranging from fundraisers to clubs to coffee houses, including that of the first man to book her in Los Angeles years ago, Bob Stane. She's also ventured into something new and fun, comedy, and her wit has recently been featured with a really spontaneous theater company.
It came from some big body of water, that it wasn't clean, and I don't really know what they're talking about, but I think that, eventually it'll all be clear to everyone. Back to you.
Well, there you go.
Her friend, Karen Black, is currently in the process of turning 8 of Harriet's songs into a musical. It would seem Harriet's life has come full circle, with a whole new generation of family to embrace. And though she's in constant demand in the musical community, she still finds time in her life for her true love, Mark Giffen. And there's a whole new generation of songwriters who've benefited from the lessons learned and taught by Harriet, who, instead of looking to the past, focuses steadily on the present and keeps an eye toward the future. Becoming remarkable, hardly, Harriet Schock is remarkable. And I still stand by that statement. I am sitting next to one of the most remarkable people in this town, in this business ever, a truly great songwriter, Harriet Schock.
I love my documentary.
Do you like your little documentary?
Thank you.
It's not a rockumentary because you're kind of one of those mellow artists, and so I kind of refrained from the metal guitar on it. I'm glad you like it because, I was up until wee hours of the morning trying to get that together. Anyway, I'm glad you like it, and welcome to the show, and thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Well, thank you for playing my song in such a new version. Now no one will ever believe that it wasn't a country hit originally. It was always pop.
Was that how you wrote that?
No, it was a pop song, because remember the 70s? That's what pop sounded like.
That's true. Actually, the 80s country is basically 70s pop with just a little bit of pedal steel in there for flavor.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady, as you know, I like to dissect songs. So take me back. Now, where were you when you wrote that? And I kind of want the ambience. What was your heart like? What had happened? What did the son of a gun do to you that merited this anthem that became...
I was on an airplane. I was leaving him for the last time. You see, it was one of the last times I left him for the last time. But I was writing it on an American Airlines napkin.
Really? You wrote it on... Okay, so you are actually one of those people that uses napkins?
Oh, yeah.
Felt tip, no
I
doubt.
only wrote the first verse and the first line of the chorus. Then I got home, I went to the piano, and I finished it there. But that song would have never gotten written if I hadn't taken this little trip.
So you were leaving the guy, and as you're on the plane, you're sitting there asking the stewardess, may I please have an extra napkin for verse 2? But
I rarely tell this, but it was originally, I guess it was myself I was involved with. I would have sworn it was you. But that didn't make it. Because I was being introspective and trying to figure out what went wrong. But, of course, it only made sense to blame him in the final analysis.
Well, who dumped who?
Well, I dumped him, but that doesn't matter.
Well, then you got to blame you.
He didn't write this song. I did.
Okay. Well, all right, so now you did that, and... Did you write the music and the lyrics at the same time in the plane? I mean, you are actually one of those writers that can do that?
I had an idea of the rhythm of the melody, but not until I got back to the actual piano. I wrote down notes I thought would work, like with just letters on the hook. But when I got back to the piano, then the whole thing came together.
Mm-hmm. So that wasn't one of those songs that you actually had to labor with for hours upon hours?
No, that was pretty much breech birth. It just came
flying out.
Yeah, get me to the hospital on time,
How many of the songs that you've written that you consider really, really great songs of yours came easily? Came just kind of through you, like as the muse reaches you?
Well, the way I look at it is... a lot of them. And people say, well, why isn't it that way consistently? Like my students will ask me that. And I feel like, you can have a great idea for a pot if you're a potter. Mm-hmm. And it could just come through you, provided you've been throwing pots for 20 years. Mm-hmm. But if you're just beginning, sometimes you don't know how to put your hand on the wheel and you don't know how to work the clay and stuff. And so for you to be the vessel that song is going to come out right, logical, with pictures, with great melody and chords, you just need a little experience. And I've been writing a while, even though I just hit the LA scene. I've been writing since junior high.
Well, actually, according to some of your bios, you had been writing, you wrote your first, probably, Break 'Em Up and Leave 'Em song for your boyfriend when he was 7? Was that it? Words and Music? That's what it says in the Bible. I've got in the Bible, in the bio. Yeah, it says in Lazarus. No, I'm sorry. It said that you wrote your first song in 7th grade.
Yeah, seventh grade
for your boyfriend. What did he do?
Oh, I don't even remember. I actually can't remember what he did, but it must have been something really terrible to set such a long history.
Well, I've noticed in a number of the songs, they're angst kind of written. You do actually have some songs where you're happily in love, like you are.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely. But I mean, they're not angst-ridden as much as they are. And I'm really a little embarrassed about this, just like make the guy wrong, humiliate him in public, and, destroy his self-confidence. I wouldn't actually do that now, but at the time it was really the way to go. You remember the 70s when, it was feminism and men were responsible for everything wrong? Well, I sort of jumped on that bandwagon. It was an easy song to write, to do that. What's harder is to get underneath all that.
Yeah. Did you ever imagine that it was going to be the anthem that it was? Because I don't think you wrote Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady as an anthem.
No.
Just basically more a personal statement.
It was a love song. So when I recorded it on my live album and on my American Romance album, I opened it up and put another song in the middle of it called One Time Lover. And that song had been on the radio too. So when people hear it as a sweet, lady sweet, they hear both songs, and it's much clearer that it's a love song and not some wildly feminist statement, which I'm not above making, but I wasn't making it in that song.
Well, that kind of leads to another question I wanted to ask you, and that is, where were you when you first heard your version of That Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady on the radio? And do you remember your reaction?
Yeah, I was in the car, and I rolled down the window and told the guy in the car next to me to turn on that station. Didn't know him, of course, that I was on the radio and he had to listen.
Serious?
I was beside myself. I mean, my mother wasn't around. Who was I going to tell? The car next to me.
It's like that guy with the cholesterol. He rolls down the window, Lord, my cholesterol. I could just say, oh, yeah, that's my song on the radio. All right,
you bet.
You were in the car when you heard it, and that had to have been very exciting. And where were you the first time you heard Helen Reddy's version of it?
I was in Dallas, actually, when Jeff Wald, her manager husband at the time, called me and said, KNX no, it wasn't KNX. It was KHJ, which was like a big top 40 station at the time, has gone on the album cut as the single. So they decided it should be the single, the radio station. Mm-hmm. And he said, looks like we have a hit that we didn't even know, and the radio station determined it. So when I got back to town, it was everywhere, you know.
Wow. Did you like her version of it?
Oh, yeah, very much.
Uh-huh. Is there a version of it that you've heard, apart from mine, that just makes you cringe?
There was a version I didn't like too much. I tell you what really drove me crazy was being in the grocery store and hearing the 1,001 strings where they even all the rhythm out. Da 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 da. Oh please, with the bubbles.
The only thing that could be worse is having it played on the bottom end of the keyboards, like they used to do in the '60s, where they played the melody. I think a guy named Dino still does that nowadays. All right, now it's time for you to play for me a song that I don't know that what you're going to play. This is part of the deal, is I have to actually listen to a song that she plays. I have no idea what she's going to play. And I will listen to it in a total state of infatuation with a real great strong writer as well. So play something for me, and then I'm going to dissect it when we're done.
Oh, okay. Well, this was an interesting song that came out of a discussion I had with my producer, Nick Vinay, who had said to us in the studio, everyone sings, everyone writes, not everyone tells the truth. And it's the truth that touches people. So this time, on the occasion of the first argument in a new relationship, I decided instead of doing what I do, making him wrong, humiliating him in public, I would get underneath the anger to the vulnerability and the love. So that's why this song became kind of special to me, that I took the leap and actually told more of the truth than I usually do.
You're pretty darn honest. I don't know.
If we're gonna be children for the rest of our lives, why then pretend to be husbands and wives? And if we're gonna be blinded by the tiniest light, why not admit that we prefer the night? Do we take out our toys, swords and guns, put out the white flag and run? You are my harbor, my knight in shining armor. And I wonder sometimes if you know how you are. You are the air, this drowning fool's last prayer. And tonight I would kill to be where you are. If we're gonna stay hungry for the rest of this meal, I will confess at least how hungry I feel. And if there's anyone listening while this tree tries to fall, please make a note, it was my heart that made this call. And sometimes the demons take charge, deal everyone the wrong cards. But you are my harbor, my knight in shining armor. And I wonder sometimes if you know you are. You are the air, this drowning fool's last prayer. And tonight I would kill to be where you are.
You rock, Schock. That is awesome. All right. Who is he? Who is he? Come on, I want to know. Who is he? He must be a prince to get a song so beautiful. Who was it? Okay, you don't
Oh,
have to
I'm not
tell.
giving that one up.
All right, this is not entertainment tonight. I'm not getting paid for the scoop, so don't worry about it. Okay, so now...
But it's on 3 of my most current albums, I'll say that. So you
Well,
know.
it's obviously a hottie, and I was just, I'm going to have to recite from memory just based on listening to it, but you are my harbor, my knight in shining armor, and I wonder if you know you are.
I wonder sometimes if you know all you are.
All you are, and then you are
The air,
the air.
this drowning fool's last prayer, and tonight I would kill to be where you are.
Oh, chills, and I can't. Oh, it's
I
the
wrote
air
it during the
conditioner.
time it took him to call me back when I couldn't reach him, and I kept leaving messages on his answering machine. So if he had called me right back, I would have never written that song.
Yeah, well, isn't it good when we get that little thing that drives us? Is that one of your favorite personal songs?
Yeah.
Okay. And what other personal songs of yours that you've written that you consider your top craft, not necessarily through the eyes of the public and how they've perceived it, but you consider it one of your finest works, like a masterpiece?
Oh, my heavens. I really like Okay, You Win, I Give Up,
That's
You're
a
Right,
great
I'm
song,
Gone.
too. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Janelle Rapp was part of writer in that, too.
Now, what you teach music, or you teach songwriting.
Yeah.
You started out at
To grown
USC,
people. Mm-hmm.
teaching down there, and then now you've been doing it privately as well as holding classes and
For the Songwriters
for
Guild.
the Songwriters Guild, which is pretty darn impressive. What is your definition of a great song versus a good song?
Well, I think, there are a lot of good songs out there, but for me, there have to be 2 elements for a great song. It has to have craft, and it has to tell the truth. Now, if you have craft without the truth, it's kind of like Achy Breaky Heart, no offense, but I mean, who's going to really remember that? And if it has truth without craft, people go, you really gave me more information than I needed. It's a little self-indulgent. So you have to have both. And if it does have both of those, then it's a remarkable song.
Mm-hmm. Is there a formula to writing songs, or is there something, I was reading in one of the many volumes of things I was reading about you, that you take your students through a step-by-step process.
That's true, but that's
So-
quite different from a formula, because I don't believe there is a formula at all. These steps will just save them the 10 years it took me to figure all this stuff out, and it tricks them into writing a song by communicating every step of the way. Because people stop communicating and start songwriting, and that's when it falls out, the craft goes away. So, yeah, the step-by-step thing really just helps them hone every muscle of songwriting and do it one thing at a time instead of everything at once, which is the reason the song doesn't work usually.
Usually, yeah. Well, unfortunately, we have to move to the next segment, which
Okay.
is my favorite gadget.
Oh,
So I know
Well,
what your gadget is because I
my
just
favorite
watched
gadget is the fact that I can press a couple of buttons and transpose this keyboard.
it. Show me.
I just did. I just made...
But I didn't hear anything.
Oh, you didn't hear anything? Okay. If I play that, it's the key I wrote it in. But I've never sung it right in that key. This is the key I should have sung it in. But
Your
it never...
fingering's the same.
Yeah, it never occurred to me that I should be singing through it. That's actually where Helen Reddy sang it. But I wrote it in C, and I played it in C so many years to transpose it to B flat, just because that's the sweet spot of the voice or
Yeah,
something.
right.
No way. And I play in B flat. I don't want to play that song in B flat. You know
No,
what I mean?
yeah.
And then some songs are really good in C sharp, and I'm not going there. But I can hit that button and go there.
Yeah, but your voice good. But yeah,
That's right.
That's great. So you never really have to move your fingers. You can just say, "I really like this key," and you just kind of, or
Yeah.
just really like this hand playing.
Irving Berlin had a capo to put everything in D flat.
We have to capo our guitars.
Yeah.
But well, that's awesome. Okay, now what we're going to do is I have to ask you this question. Everybody's got one, Harriet. Please tell me. Sister Mary Harriet has to have some kind of embarrassing story. Come on.
Well, I know it's supposed to be on stage, and I was on stage, but I wasn't performing. I was doing props at the Dallas Theater Center, and I have kind of night blindness, and my fiancé at the time was leading me, but that time he wasn't there, so I was out there. I had moved the ashtray, but then I was feeling my way along the walls to get out off the stage, and the lights came up, and I looked, and the audience was there. I was like this against the back wall, trying to get off the stage. You were right in
You
the
weren't
middle
wearing
of the
black?
stage.
That's embarrassing. But but they didn't know your name then.
No.
It's not embarrassing enough. I'm going to embarrass her myself. Andrea, come up here. This is Andrea Ross Green, who is Harriet's personal assistant. She's going to join us. We're going to join you on the real way to sing That Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady, because there's nothing like hearing the real artist do it. And, by the way, this is the Composer's Corner. Thank you for visiting us. Thank you, Harriet.
Thank
for coming
you,
over
Jeanie.
and
I
giving
had
us a window.
wonderful
You can
time.
always find out about Harriet. Just go to Google, okay? Because I'm not allowed to give you her address, but go to Google. She's got over 2,800 sites for you to visit. So you've got a lot of fan pages. And I was going to read a review in somebody else's language, but then I thought I might be reading a bad review. Will you sing with me on this?
Yes.
Okay. You do the third above, I'll do third below.
Okay.
Lead,
All
babe.
right.
Thanks for coming to Composer's Corner. See us again. Remember, don't waste your gift. Ring your corner, the Composer's Corner.
I guess it was yourself you were involved with. I would have sworn it was me. I might have found out sooner if you'd only let me close enough to see. That ain't no way to treat a lady, no way to treat your baby, your woman, your friend. That ain't no way to treat a lady, no way. And maybe it's a way for us to end. I was busy being a picture with all the colors I know, while you were busy looking into white blue mirrors and loving the show. That ain't no way to treat a lady, no way to treat your baby, your woman, your friend. That ain't no way to treat a lady, no way. Maybe it's a way for us to end. There's a funny kind of consolation keeping me sane, and I'd really like to share it, crawl on deep in my brain, and see the times you never felt me loving you or needing you. So leaving you now, you still won't know how to feel the pain. I was looking out for my happiness while you were looking within. And before you knew, your own reflection always starts to tire you. It had happened again. That ain't no way to treat a lady, no way to treat your baby, your woman, your friend. That ain't no way to treat a lady, no way. And maybe it's a way for us to end.
You rock, Schock. Come back and see us soon.